Maybe you're watching this late at night when the world is quiet and everyone else is asleep. Maybe you're just scrolling, not looking for anything. And somehow you found this, and maybe it feels random, like chance, like nothing more than another video. But I don't believe in just chance, because somewhere out there is a woman I haven't met yet. And still, in some strange, quiet way, my life is already moving toward hers. Every lesson I've learned, every mistake I've survived, every moment that changed me without asking permission, it's all been shaping me into someone who can stand in front of you one day and say, I'm ready now. You don't know me yet, but I've been becoming someone who can love you properly. Not perfectly, not like the movies, but honestly, patiently, fearlessly. So if you're watching this, if this somehow reached you, maybe this isn't a coincidence. Maybe this is just the universe whispering, we're getting closer. I used to think love was about finding someone as quickly as possible, like searching for an answer to a question that made no sense alone. But the older I get, the more I realize it's not about searching. It's about becoming. It's about waking up one day and understanding that every difficult moment was not a delay, it was construction. Every failure was not rejection, it was redirection. Every lonely night was not emptiness, it was space being cleared for something that actually matters. And I've spent years learning things I didn't even know were lessons. Learning patience when nothing moved, learning resilience when things fell apart, learning silence when the world felt too loud. And somewhere inside all of that, I started realizing that I wasn't just living randomly. I was being shaped into someone who could hold another person's heart without dropping it. Someone who understands that love is not possession, it's responsibility. It's not about having someone. It's about choosing them every day when life is ordinary and unremarkable and messy. And maybe you've been going through your own version of that shaping. Maybe you've been learning how to trust again, how to hope again, how to believe that something steady still exists in a world that moves too fast. And I imagine you walking through your days not knowing that somewhere out there, someone else is learning the same lessons at the same time, not in the same place, not in the same way, but moving in the same direction, like two roads being built from opposite sides of a mountain, unable to see each other yet, but getting closer with every step, every decision, every moment you chose to grow instead of giving up. Every time you decided to be kind when it was easier not to be, every time you kept going without applause, without recognition, without certainty, just faith that it would make sense one day. And I think about how strange it is that two people can live entire lives before meeting, collecting stories, scars, humor, strength, all the invisible things that will one day make their connection feel natural instead of accidental. Like they didn't just meet, they arrived. Like all the distance was necessary so they could recognize the value of finally standing in the same place. And until that moment comes, I keep moving, keep building, keep becoming more honest, more grounded, more capable of giving a kind of love that isn't rushed or careless, the kind that listens, the kind that stays, the kind that understands silence is sometimes more powerful than words. And maybe right now you're doing something completely ordinary, not realizing that even this small moment is part of a path that's leading somewhere, that all the uncertainty isn't random, that all the time spent wondering is actually time spent preparing. And there's something comforting in not knowing exactly when or how it happens, because it means there's no pressure to force what should unfold naturally, no need to chase what is already moving, no need to rush towards something that is already finding its way, step by step, choice by choice, day by day, through all the noise and all the quiet and all the in-between moments that don't seem important, until you look back and realize they were the ones quietly guiding you forward, shaping your patience, shaping your understanding, shaping your ability to recognize something real when it finally stands in front of you and doesn't need to announce itself loudly, because you just know, not with certainty you can explain, but with a calm you've never felt before, like arriving somewhere you've never been and somehow recognizing it, like hearing a voice for the first time and trusting it, like all the years behind you suddenly aligning instead of feeling scattered. And until that day comes, there's nothing to force, nothing to prove, just continuing forward, learning, changing, carrying both the weight and the hope, trusting that somewhere along another path you are doing the same, breathing different air, seeing different skies, living different days, and still moving closer in ways neither of us can measure yet, closer through time, through growth, through all the unseen moments that are quietly bringing two unfinished stories toward the same page, where they will finally begin to read together without needing to rush to the end, without needing to understand everything at once, just standing there in that shared space of finally not walking alone and realizing that every step before this, even the painful ones, even the confusing ones, even the ones that felt like they led nowhere, were actually guiding us a stick. Love is not about finding someone flawless, it's about finding someone human and choosing them completely. And I think that's something the world forgets to tell us. Because we grow up surrounded by stories that make love look effortless, like it just appears fully formed without struggle, without doubt, without the slow work of understanding another's soul. But real love is quieter than that. It's built in the ordinary spaces between two people, in the conversations that don't have perfect words, in the shared silences that don't feel empty, in the patience of learning each other's fears instead of running from them. And I don't expect you to arrive in my life like an answer to every question. I expect you to arrive with your own questions, your own history, your own moments of uncertainty. And instead of trying to erase those things, I want to understand them, because the truth is we are not meant to complete each other. We are meant to stand beside each other, whole in our own ways, choosing connection not out of need, but out of recognition, recognizing something familiar in the way we both kept going when it would have been easier to stop, recognizing strength not as perfection, but as persistence. And when I think about loving you, whoever you are, wherever you are right now, I don't imagine dramatic scenes or grand declarations. I imagine consistency. I imagine being there on days when life feels heavy. I imagine laughter that comes unexpectedly. I imagine disagreements that don't break us because we understand that love is not fragile when it's real. It bends, it adapts, it grows stronger under pressure instead of disappearing. And maybe that kind of love isn't the kind people write about in bright headlines. Maybe it doesn't look impressive from the outside, but it's the kind that lasts, the kind that becomes a foundation instead of a moment. And I want us to build something like that, something steady enough that we don't have to question it every time life changes, something honest enough that we can be ourselves without pretending, because the greatest thing we can offer each other is not perfecti, its presence. The simple, powerful act of saying I am here, not just when things are easy, but always. In the unfinished, imperfect, real story that we continue to write together every single day without needing to rush, without needing to prove anything, just living it step by step, side by side, learning that love was never about finding someone ideal. It was always about finding someone real and having the courage to stay. There is something strange about two people who haven't met yet, living completely separate lives, waking up under different skies, walking different streets, carrying different memories, and still moving toward the same moment without knowing it, like two timelines quietly heading for an intersection that neither of them can see on a map. And I think about how many ordinary days must pass before that meeting happens, how many small decisions shape it, the choices to grow instead of staying stuck, the moments of doubt that didn't win, the times we kept moving forward without any guarantee that it mattered. And maybe right now you're living one of those ordinary days, doing something simple, something forgettable, not realizing it as part of the path that leads closer to me, just like my own routine, my own struggles, my own attempts to become better are leading me closer to you. And there's no dramatic signal, no announcement, just time doing its quiet work, aligning experiences, building understanding in both of us so that when we finally stand in the same place, it doesn't feel rushed or accidental. It feels earned, like we arrived exactly when we were supposed to, because we needed all those years apart to become people capable of recognizing each other, capable of valuing what we found, because if we had met earlier, maybe we wouldn't have understood. Maybe we wouldn't have been ready to listen, to trust, to stay. And that's why I don't rush the future anymore. I respect it. I let it unfold at its own pace, believing that somewhere out there you're also learning, also changing, also becoming someone who will one day look at me not as a stranger, but as someone who somehow feels known. And when that moment comes, it won't feel like the beginning of something random. It will feel like the continuation of something that's been quietly forming for years, through distance, through growth, through all the unseen steps that carried us forward without ever needing us to realize we were already on the same road. And maybe the most powerful thing about meeting you won't be the moment itself, it will be the realization that nothing had to be forced to bring us there, that all the searching we thought we had to do was never really about finding each other, it was about understanding ourselves first. Because when two people finally cross paths after living entire lives apart, they don't just see who the other person is, they see everything that shaped them, every challenge that strengthened them, every quiet victory no one else noticed. And there's a kind of respect that grows from that understanding, a recognition that love isn't something you grab quickly. It's something you arrive at slowly, something you protect because you know how much it took to reach it. And I imagine that when we meet, there won't be some dramatic pause or perfect line, just a calm certainty, like the noise of the world suddenly stepping back, like realizing you don't have to look any further because you're no longer searching. And what we build from that moment won't be based on illusion or expectation. It will be built on choice, on showing up for each other in ways that are sometimes small and invisible but always meaningful. Choosing patience when life gets complicated, choosing understanding when words fall short, choosing to stay even when staying requires effort, because real connection isn't proven in extraordinary moments. It's proven in the ordinary ones, the daily rhythm of sharing time, sharing space, sharing trust, and knowing that out of all the possible paths our lives could have taken, they led us here, not by accident, not by chance, but by 1,000 unseen steps that prepared us to recognize something real when we finally found it. Something steady enough to stand on, something honest enough to believe in, something that doesn't need to be perfect to last. Just true, just chosen, just live together one day at a time. There is also a kind of patience that only comes with believing in something you cannot see yet. And I think that's the space where I've been living for a while now. Not waiting in the sense of standing still, but waiting in the sense of trusting that every day has meaning, even before it explains itself. Because life doesn't hand us clarity all at once, it gives it to us in fragments, in moments that feel small when they happen but later reveal themselves as necessary. And I've learned to respect those moments, the quiet mornings, the long thoughts, the decisions no one else notices, the times I chose to grow instead of repeating old patterns, because somewhere along the way I understood that love isn't just about finally meeting you. It's about becoming someone who can meet you without fear, without pretending, without trying to be anything other than real, and that kind of readiness takes time. It takes letting go of who I thought I had to be and learning who I actually am. It takes understanding that strength is not hardness, that vulnerability is not weakness, that being open to another person is one of the bravest things we can do. And maybe you've been learning those same things in your own way, through your own experiences, through days that tested you and days that rebuilt you, shaping you into someone who also understands that love is not about losing yourself, it's about bringing your whole self into something shared. And when I imagine the life we haven't lived yet, I don't picture perfection, I picture authenticity, two people who don't have all the answers but are willing to walk forward together anyway, willing to face uncertainty side by side instead of alone. And there's something incredibly human about that, something grounding, because the truth is we are not meant to navigate this world in isolation forever. We are meant to find those rare connections where we can finally put down the armor we didn't even realize we were carrying, where we can speak honestly, laugh freely, exist without explanation. And maybe that's what all this time has been preparing us for, not just the meeting, but the recognition, the ability to see each other clearly because we've spent so long learning to see ourselves. And I think about how many versions of us had to exist before we could arrive at the versions that will eventually meet. All the past selves who didn't know where they were going, who made mistakes, who tried and failed and tried again, each of them playing a role in guiding us forward even when it didn't feel like progress. And there's a quiet gratitude in that realization, gratitude for the delays, for the detours, for the unexpected turns that shaped our direction without asking permission, because without them, we wouldn't carry the same understanding, the same depth, the same appreciation for something genuine. And when we finally share a moment together, it won't just be about who we are then, it will include everything we've been through to get there, all the invisible history that makes the connection stronger than something built quickly. And I like to think that when that day comes, it will feel natural, not overwhelming, not like a sudden change, but like something easing into place, like a story continuing rather than starting, because in many ways it will have already begun long before we met, written in the choices we made separately, in the growth we committed to without knowing why, in the resilience we carried through times that felt uncertain, and there's comfort in knowing that we didn't need to rush toward that outcome, that what matters most cannot be forced. It can only be allowed to develop, shaped by time and honesty and experience until it becomes something strong enough to last. And until then, I keep moving forward with intention, trying to live fully, trying to become better, not for some imagined future, but because growth itself is meaningful. Because every step toward understanding myself is also a step toward understanding you, even before I know your face, even before I hear your voice, trusting that somewhere, in your own way, you are doing the same, living your life, following your path, unaware that our journeys are slowly, steadily aligning, carried by time toward a meeting that will not need explanation, because when two people have taken the time to become who they are meant to be, they don't need to force connection. They recognize it, they accept it, they build on it, and they continue walking forward together with the same quiet determination that once guided them alone, turning two separate histories into one shared future that keeps unfolding with every ordinary, meaningful day that follows.